So is my screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, Pratham.
Yes, it's audible.
Yes,
Okay.
Pratham.
Okay. So our intention for the particular batch is to make understand of DevOps. Okay. Now this is our agenda for our next maybe like 2 months. It will be our agenda to understand all the concepts of the DevOps. Okay. Now before I jump to that, some basic concept we have to clear first. So first thing first, what is DevOps? So DevOps is nothing but DevOps is not a tool. DevOps is a concept, and under the concept we are having a multiple tools where we can do our day-to-day works. So basically, DevOps means development and operations. Okay, so these two concept will comprise with the DevOps. Now, many of you, some of you maybe do not understand this kind of what is Dev, what is Ops. So don't worry, I will start from the very basic as I told you. So let's try to understand the ecosystem of the software development life cycle. Okay, so we call it SDLC life cycle. That is software development life cycle. So what is the life cycle of a software? So let's say for example, you want to develop some applications. It can be your mobile application, it can be your web application, or any application you can name it. Okay, so but the agenda is to create one application. Now in order to create that particular application, internally we have to go through multiple stages. Okay, so let's take one example. Let's say Facebook. Okay, Facebook is a web application. There like it also has the Android version of that, so mobile application also have. But yeah, let's taking the example of the web application. Okay, now as so first of all, we use Facebook, so we can call us the client of the Facebook. As we are using the Facebook, so Facebook will call us the client. So we are the client who is accessing that particular application. So Facebook is nothing but the application which we use, so we are the client. Okay, now as we are the client, so we are doing some multiple things, and we can do day to day work or day to day stuff over there, surfing all of the things we can do on this particular platform. But how this platform or how this application is built, so there are some stages. After that we can see the application is up and running in front of our eyes. So what are the stages? So basically there are most important stages are, so let's say we have four important stage in any of the software development life cycle. So first stage is development. Second stage is testing. Third one is QA, which we call as quality assurance. And final one is the deployment. So there are other stages also here, but I am talking about the high level stages. So
Sorry,
development
Pritham,
is
final stage is
deployment. I'm saying deployment.
development. Okay.
Okay. So there are many other stages also, depending on the project, depending on the organization, or depending on the approach. Different project can consider different stages. Like between QA and deployment, we can have another stage that is called UAT. So some organization has that, or some project has that, and some project don't do the UAT. So that is another stage. But like from the high level, these four or five stages are very much important. Okay, now we have to understand in each and every stage what is happening. So suppose you are building one application, so how you are going to build the application? So suppose you are working in a organization in a project, and your project is very new, and you have to work in that particular project. So how the project will kick off? So first of all, we have to do, or like as a like a management team, or as a senior management team, we have to, what they have to do is they have to collect the information what is needed from the client side. So we call it gather the information. So in this particular stage, we will gather the information from the client. So what is the expectation from the client? So high level expectation we will get from that particular client. Okay. Now as an organization, now our work will be started. So first we gather the information, and depending on that, we are going to develop our application. Okay. So this is the first stage, development. So in this particular development, basically the developer will be involved. So here we can use multiple language like Python, Java, JavaScript, Ruby, Perl, Go, C hash, C, whatever language is suitable for that particular application building. Developer will use those particular language and develop the application. Now once the application is created or developed, now the next stage will be the testing phase. So in this particular stage, what will happen is, whatever the developer has developed, we have to check there is any issue or not. So in a technical term, we call it as a defect or bug. So we have to check, is there any bug, is there any issue. In just a minute, like somebody's log in and log off. I don't know what is happening here. Okay. So in this particular stage, what will happen is the testing will happen. So testing means the developer develop that application. Is this application okay, or any criteria is mismatching, or any issue in the particular application? Everything will be checked in the testing phase. So what will happen once the testing will completed, then it will move to the QA stage, that is quality assurance stage. So in this stage, we are going to check the quality of the application which is being built, and if there is any issue, then we will work on that. If not, then we are going to move ahead to the next phase, that is called QA phase. Now what is the next phase? Some organization has that, some do not have. That is the UAT, that means user acceptance testing. So that means whenever this application will be going to live, so actual client is going to use that particular application, then what are the issue, or is there any issue when the application will be go to the real environment? What can be the issue, or how can we better the user experience from our application point of view? So that will be checked in the UAT phase, and if that is okay, then the next stage will happen. If that is not okay, then again some previous stage will be we have to work on that. Okay. Now once the UAT is completed, we will get the go ahead, and we will do the deployment. So deployment means actual the code what is developed, that will be deployed to the real time environment, and as a client, other person can access our application. So that will be our deployment phase. So most of the time, most of the application software development lifecycle is coming under these particular stages: development, testing, QA, UAT, deployment. Okay. So these are the stages we have. Now in this, after the developer develop this application, we can okay, before we come to that point, we have to understand another concept. So initially we used to uh, 5 6 years ago also, we used to do the SDLC lifecycle in a monolithic approach. The approach was monolithic. And what is the meaning of the monolithic approach? So whatever stage we have, so we have to, we cannot go back to the previous stage. So suppose I have to develop one application or one particular component of the application. So first what we have to do, we have to complete the development phase. Other than that we cannot go to the next stage. Then testing will happen, QA will happen, UAT will happen, deployment will happen. But let's say on the testing or on the QA phase we got some error. Okay, now if we got this error, then what we have to do that time is, again we have to start our everything from this particular development phase. So everything will be started from the development phase. So what is the problem? As I said, everything was completed at once, then the next stage will kick off. So until the development is completed we cannot go to the next stage. So if there is any issue in the next stage, then again we have to start from the beginning. So that means we have to again spend like months on months to develop this particular application, then come to the testing phase. If the issue still persists, again we have to go to the development phase and fix that with the time, like with a good number of time. Then after that the next stage will kick off. What is the drawback of this particular approach? The drawback was, like, it is a time taking activity. So if the development like needs 2 months of time, then if the issue is coming on the testing phase, again we have to spend 2 months of time to develop our application. So that is why you used to see, like previous, like 5 6 years applications were sometime there are some error or some glitch or some problem in the particular application, because they are following the monolithic approach. So always everyone has to meet the deadline. So sometime what happened is, we miss some bug in this particular life cycle. So the application is delivered to the client and client is complaining that this particular application is not behaving as expected. Okay, that was the problem in a monolithic approach. Now in order to in order to like overcome this kind of problem, what we approach, we change our approach. So we changed our approach from monolithic to the like microservice. So we change our approach from, let's say, from monolithic. So initially we used to do the monolithic approach, now we are not doing that. Now we are following another approach that is called microservice. Now, what is the microservice? So, microservice means, so there are basically some of the stages. Now, each and every stage are divided into multiple small stages or small part. I can say that. So, what is the benefit out of that? So, let's say I have segregated all of my monolithic approach work in small parts. Let's say like this. Initially I used to do some of the specified phases. Now I am segregating all of the phases in some of the parts. Okay, now what is the benefit of that? Benefit is, let's say I received the issue in this particular stage. So in this scenario, I do not have to go to the this stage to fix that particular issue. So I have to only fix this particular stage or this particular part of the application, so that we can go to the next stage. So what is like actual benefit? Like the time is reduced to deliver to our client. That is reduced. So that is why the microservice approach nowadays is very much popular. So every application, every part of our work is segregated or separated by using some of the tools. And if there is some specific error, so we already know that from where the error is coming, and we have to fix that particular part of the error. We do not have to fix the entire application. So that is the difference between the monolithic approach and the microservice based approach. Now this is the current situation we are dealing with. Now in this particular microservice approach, we are having now what exactly we have to do. So another concept you have to understand, that is the agile concept. Okay, now what is agile? So agile, basically, the meaning of the agile is, dictionary word is, it is changing, but change rapidly. Okay, now, so initially, suppose this was my development. entire thing was developed in this particular chunk. Now what we now doing using the agile method is, for this, if this is the entire box where I which I have to develop, I will again separate this part into multiple small parts. Okay. Now what will happen is, if first the developer will develop this particular stage or this particular part, and the next phase will run, like this phase will run. Okay. Now if there is any error, we will fix that, and again we will run this particular stages. Once it is fixed, then we will go to the next part of the application development. So then again small part we develop, test, QA, deployment. Then if that is fine, then we will go to the next phase. So like that way, entire application development is separated or divided into multiple parts. Okay. So as a whole it is bringing the application, but we are like separating that application one by one or part by part. That is the approach of the agile approach. So you may have heard of the team like agile team, scrum master, scrum team, scrum meeting, those kind of things. So those comes under the agile technology or agile methodology. Okay. Now what I'm trying to say is, now so that means from development to the deployment, I have to go using this small part. Now in order to do the small part, I have to consider multiple things. So first thing is, so obviously development. Okay. Now first thing first, where we are going to store the development. So we are going to store the development in the tools called SCM or source code management tool. So once that is done, then next phase will be like build stage. Okay, in this build stage, we are going to
Pritam,
build that. Yes,
Pritam, I'm sorry to interruption. Where we have to store this?
SCM, source code management.
SCM, source code management.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now next time, next stage will be the build stage. So in the build stage, we are converting the source code into some of the file. I will give you the exact picture after some time, but just try to understand whatever I'm trying to convey. So next stage will be the build stage, where the code will be changed into some, converted into some files. Then next stage will be like image creation. Let's say image creation. Okay, where we have to create some image from out of our application to run. Next stage will be containerization. So what are the meaning of this every stage, I will come to that later. Okay. Now once that is done, we are going to do the configuration management. Once that is done, we have to do the orchestration, and all the things should be combined with each other. So like these are different thing or different tool. So every tool can will be segregated or combined with one another using one concept that is called continuous integration, or we can call it CI. So these are the phases we have. Now why I said you so, so after this stage we have done, this is the different stage. So development is different, this is different. So that is why the DevOps comes to the picture. So DevOps says this part is the development, and this part is we call this operation. So when we combine these two things together, we call it as a DevOps. Now I will give you a clear picture in a minute, but like these are the concept of the DevOps. So DevOps is nothing but a tool. DevOps is a concept, how we are going to develop till the deployment, how we are going to handle the situation. That is how we will understand, that is in the session we are going to understand how one application should be delivered to the client, and in between how many phases or how many tools we have to go through. So we are going to understand that. Okay, now I will take the questions from you after some time, but let me try to make you understand the stages. So okay, let me open a new pane. So as I said, suppose there is or there are some developer. So suppose these peoples are developer peoples who develop the application after the like information is been gathered by the senior management team. So developer will develop. Now once the development is done, then they are going to store the code. Why to store the code? That is, we will see it later. But whatever activity he has done, he has to store the code in some of the places. As we already seen that name of the particular tool or the concept is SCM, or source code management. Once this SCM is done, then so basically up to this point we call it the development. This is the dev of the DevOps. Now once this is done, now next thing is we have to go through some of the stages again. So the stages will be build stage, the stages will be artifactory management stage, then the stage will be like container stage. After that we have to consider the configuration management stage. Once this is done, then we have to consider the orchestration stage. Once this is done, we have to consider the monitoring stage. We have to consider this. Now, all of these things, so suppose there are multiple tools are involved with that. So let's say for build tool, we are going to use the Maven. For artifactory management, we are going to use the JFrog. For container, we are going to use the Docker. For configuration management, we are going to use the Ansible. For orchestration, we are going to use the Kubernetes. For monitoring, we can use the different tools. So let's say I'm taking the example of CloudWatch. Okay, and all of these stages will be like how. So the question is now how one tool is going to integrate or interact with other tool. So there are maybe in between we will understand multiple other tools also, but the question is how one tool is going to understand or configure with the another tool. So for that we have another tool which is the heart of the DevOps, that is called continuous integration. We call it CI, and for that we are going to understand Jenkins. This particular tool is going to like make sure give the platform so that the other tools can integrate with each other. And as a whole, this stage or this particular part of the SDLC lifecycle will be known as operation. This will be our operation. So this is development, this is operation, and both of these combined, and we call it DevOps. So that is the understanding what is exactly DevOps. I will go to some other points, but before that, I want to take the questions from all of you. So if somebody has some question, any question from anybody, any kind of question is welcome.
So I have one question, and that is, where will the deployment comes into picture in this one, in the boxes that you have put it in?
In
Will
the
it come up?
orchestration part, in the
That is
orchestration part, the deployment will come.
okay. Thank you.
You can ask me
Just
if you
just one more question, follow-up question. So
yes.
when we deploy things, right? Let's say we are deploying an application, right? So we come up with, for example, say that the infrastructure part of it. That's what my question is more towards, saying that is it like, should we have load balancer? Should we have multiple machines, multiple clusters? So will that, where will that come in, or that should happen before this?
No, before this it can happen, but in this stage we also it can happen because this is the deployment phase. So here all the things will be considered, like basically we are going to make sure our application is highly available. So in order to make sure of that, we have to have the concept of load balancing and the other things, whatever we can do. So yes, in this particular stage, we are going to make sure our application is deployed and that application is highly available.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other question from any other person? Like, you can ask me any questions.
Nothing from my end. Understood.
Just sorry, one more question I have. In the
Yes.
in the continuous integration, you said Jenkins. So is there any other product like Jenkins,
Yes.
or is it
Yes.
only Jenkins?
Yes. There are some different products also, but the one of the another popular product is, we call it as GitHub Action. So we using the
GitHub.
GitHub Action, we can achieve the CI.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there is no questions, then
I
we
have
have
a
to
question
jump to
here.
the, yes, please.
No, based on these things, you have explained multiple components right here. I mean, multiple tools. So, how about this one, Terraform? Terraform occurs in which place? Actually, how it is useful, and at which part of this streamline we are using that one?
Yes, I will come to that point. That is very good question. I will come to that point. Just a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I will answer your question in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other question from any other person? Okay. If not, then let's jump to the next point. Now, again, come to like we have to understand another core concept or the very basic concept actually. So, actually, suppose this is us. Okay. Now, and this is the internet. So when we search for anything over the internet, let's say in the Google we are searching something, so we are sending the request to the internet, and after some time we are getting some of the results in front of our screen. Okay, so the first part where we are asking the internet some question, so that is known as a request, and whatever we receive from the internet, that is called response. Okay, so we have a machine and where we are asking the request, and the result is coming to our front of our screen. So internally how it is working, we have to understand that also. So when we requested something over the internet, the depending on the application where we are searching, so if we are searching on the Google, we are make sure that is going to the Google infrastructure, and if you are searching anything in other platform, it will go to the request will go to the some different infrastructure. Okay, so let's say taking the Google example. So in the Google, what Google will do is it will take the request from us, and the request will be passed to some of the Google related machines. So Google is an application. In that particular application, they have created some servers. We call it machines or server. So from the server, the request will reach, and from the server, the request will come to the internet, and then as a response we will receive that. So first, as a client, we request it some information to the internet take the request to the particular application platform. Then from the particular application platform, the request is like whatever request we send, the actual response will fetch via the internet to us. So this is the application. Now in the application also, there are two different parts. Okay, so let's say first is, we can, if we are talking about any web application, so let's say this is front end and this is back end. So what is front end? Front end means whatever we can access as a client. So we can use Facebook, we can log into the Facebook, we can do the socialize in the Facebook. Whatever we can do, we are doing it on the Facebook front end platform. But if you, during the login, if you type your password wrong, then immediately it will say that please enter the correct password. So how it knows I'm entering the wrong password? That means my information is stored somewhere in the Facebook platform or inside the Facebook application, and it will check I'm putting the right password or not. Depending on that, it is providing us the response. If we provide the right password, I can go to the next page. If I am not providing the right password, I cannot go to the next page. Okay, so these internal data are stored in the backend of the application. Okay, so front end we can access, back end as a client we cannot access because that belongs to the application. So only the developer, only the person who is working on the Facebook, they can access the back end of that particular application. As a client, I we can only access the front end of the application. Okay, so if so, the request basically will jump to, like, from the internet, the request basically goes to front end send the request to the back end send the response to the front end, and then from this through the internet we are going to get the response. So this is the entire architecture. Okay, high level architecture I'm talking about. Now what is front end, what is back end, and how this application is deployed in a real environment, that is basically we call it as a server. So where the application is running either front end, either back end, or either another component of the particular application, that is basically running in the server. Now the point is, what is server? So currently I'm using my laptop. My laptop is having some of the component like RAM, hard disks, ports, Ethernet cable or Ethernet ports, and charging machine. So these are the basic component or important concept component of my machine. So I can call my system as a server. I can use my system as a server. Okay. So that means the server should have some basic component, like server should have the operating system, server should have the like hard disks, RAM, network connectivity, and some of the other feature also. But these are the important feature we should have in the server. Now server can be created in two different ways. One is the on premises server, another is the cloud server. So what is the on premises server? On premises means wherever we can create or see or use the server in a physical machine or physical hardware. Like if I create server from my personal laptop, so that will be called as a on premises server, because I can see, feel the hardware of my server or hardware of my system. So that is why it is called on premises server. But same server I can create over the cloud also. But why we should go to the cloud server instead of my on premises server? That is one question. Now the answer of the question is, so suppose I want to create a server from my local machine or local system. So what I have to do for that? I have to buy the particular system, and then I can create it as a server. Now let's say I am starting this application building activity using something in mind, and after some time I am jumping to different thing altogether, and I don't need the entire thing whatever I used to think. Okay, that means I am dropping the application development thing in middle of something. But if I am not using now my hardware as a server, then what will happen? I already paid for this particular thing, then nothing will happen. Already my investment is there, so I cannot roll back the changes, I cannot claim the changes or I cannot get the same amount whatever I have paid to buy this particular machine. Okay. But if I create this particular machine on top of any cloud, then what will happen? After some day I do not need to use the or create the application, then what will happen? I will not use the server, then I do not have to pay for that. So cloud says you pay that much amount only whatever you use. So cloud says pay pay per use. If you are using for 1 hour, you have to pay for 1 hour. If you are using for 1 year, you have to pay for 1 year. Nothing more than that. So that is why we should create our server in the cloud environment. That is the first benefit. The second benefit is, like if I use my personal laptop as a server, then I have to take care of multiple things, such as I have to do the cooling, I have to do the maintenance, I have to do other stuffs which a physical in a physical machine we have to do. So that is a cost, uh, that is a cost taking activity which we do not have to pay for the cloud machines. There we do not have to bother about the cooling, the maintenance, and all of the stuff, because cloud is going to take care of this kind of situation. So that is the second benefit. Third benefit is, let's say I am working in an e-commerce platform. So definitely, like in India, like only during the festive seasons, which starts almost in September end and last for till the January mid or January last. Okay. So in this particular time, this is our festive season. So if I am running one e-commerce website, so then definitely during this time, this is my peak time. That means I will get multiple requests from different client. So let's say non festive season I am getting only like 10 requests from the client, and during the festive season I am getting like 1,000 requests from the client. Okay. Now if I use my personal laptop as a server, So I have one eight, let's say 8 GB RAM. Okay, and there I am handling my 10 number of customers. Now all of a sudden the request is increasing, so I have to upgrade my machine. So let's say I have to upgrade from 8 GB to 16 GB. So I have to take care of two things. First thing first, my laptop should support like expendable RAM. Second thing is I have to buy another 8 GB up with the upfront price. So I have to pay, I have to buy, I have to use. Okay, but after, as soon as the festive season goes over, like after the February months is coming or comes, that time again the request number of requests will be decreased from, let's say, from 100, let's say 20. It will decrease. Then what I have to do, I have already paid for external RAM. I have already done those kind of things, so I cannot roll back. I cannot downgrade my system because I have already paid. But if same thing we are doing in the cloud environment, then within a minute I can increase or I can decrease as per my requirement. So that is why we have to use the cloud provided servers instead of the on premises or hardware servers. So these are the three big reasons why should we go for the cloud environment. Okay, now in this particular thing, whatever I have mentioned, okay, so everything is happening in a server. So if I am doing in build, or developer is developing something, or configuration management, orchestration, monitoring, everything is happening in a machine which we call also a server. Okay, now as like I sorry I have not see who was asking the question for the Terraform, but the answer is that now if I know I have to work, let's say some build related activity, some container related stuff, or the orchestration related work, so for that I need some server. That server can be created manually, so that means I can go to the any cloud platform, manually I create the server. That is one option. Second option is I can create it using some manual script, or sorry, using some automation script. So I write some script. Using that script, I can create the server within a click of a button. Now, what is the benefit of that? Suppose in a team, in a project, I am working in a automation script where I am creating one server using the automation. So I have created the script. So next time next requirement comes, and for that I have to create another server. So for that reason I do not have to write the script, or do not have to create the server manually again from the console. What I will do, I will do some minimal change in the script, and I will run the script again. So this a new server will be created for my next requirement. Okay, so that is the part of the automation. And this infrastructure whichever we are creating for a different purpose inside the cloud, that infrastructure can be created as a code. So that is called infrastructure as a code, and that is the purpose of the Terraform. So Terraform will create the infrastructure which we are going to create or use in the cloud platform. So that is the purpose of the infrastructure, and Terraform will, in that point Terraform will come to the picture. So that is the purpose of the Terraform. I hope that is clear now. Okay, up to this point, any question, any confusion, anyone, or anything you want to ask or something?
Could you please explain that what the Terraform and why it's used?
Okay,
I didn't
so my
understand. Sorry.
okay, so the thing is, suppose, so my aim is I have to create one server. On top of the server I am going to use any of the thing, like let's say I want to deploy this Docker application. Okay, but where I need to deploy, I need to deploy in a machine, and in the machine in the cloud call as a server. Okay, now in this server I have to create. So I have two approach to create the server. Either I go to the console of the cloud and create the machine manually using some of the clicks of the button. I can create it. That is one option I have. Another option I have, I can create a script, and using the script I can trigger the or I can create the particular server. That is one option. I have two options. Now why I suggest to use the second option, because suppose next day I'm working in a different project, and in that project same requirement is coming. I have to create a server. Okay, so why should I go to the manually again to the console and create the server in the manual basis where I have the script? So this script I will create one, and anytime any server I have to create over the cloud, I can run this particular script using some minimal modification in the script. So I do not have to do manual stuff again and again. So if the requirement is I have to create multiple servers for multiple use cases, so in that case what we will do, we will write a script to build the infrastructure, and that is why Terraform will come to the picture. Terraform is infrastructure as a code. So whatever infrastructure means the creation, like where we are going to work, so that is called infrastructure. So in that infrastructure, whatever infrastructure over the cloud we can create using the code, that is called infrastructure as a code, and Terraform is the infrastructure code tool.
Pritham, I have a doubt here. So is that infrastructure as a code is same for all the cloud platforms, or it varies from
No,
one cloud to
see,
other cloud
infrastructure as a
platforms?
code is almost the same for the all platform, but the point is we have to do some syntax change depending on whatever cloud we are using. If we are using AWS, then we have to use the AWS related syntax. If we have to use the GCP, then we have to use the GCP related syntax. But the concept is same. The command will be the same. Only some changes depending on the cloud we have to write.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Manikanta, are you now clear with your doubt?
Yes, yes, I understand. No, thank you.
Okay, any doubt from anybody as of now? Okay, if not, then let's see what we are going to understand in our session. So, in order to achieve the end goal, we have to go through multiple concept or multiple tools in our session. So, first thing is we will understand Linux concept, because whatever server we are going to create or whatever work we are going to create in a DevOps culture, most of the time the servers are creating using the Linux, the commands we use in a Linux. So that is why it is very much important. So we are going to see the Linux, understand the Linux first. That will be our starting point. Next we are going to understand the Git, GitHub, this concept. Third, we are going to understand the Jenkins. Fourth, we are going to understand the artifactory management. Fifth, we are going to understand Docker. Sixth, we are going to understand Ansible. Next, we are going to understand Kubernetes. Next, we are going to understand Terraform. And finally, we are going to see some projects where we are implementing or integrating all of the concept we have, whatever we have understood in our session. Okay, that will be our high level agenda. In between that, we are going to see some of the other things also, and whatever we are going to do, we are going to do in a AWS cloud platform. So we are going to understand the AWS cloud services concept, how to work on that, everything. Like when I talk about this kind of thing, we are going to see from the basic to the advanced level. Basic means how to set up this, and advanced means how to work in this particular tool using the help of or integrating with other DevOps tools. So everything we are going to understand from the basic, very basic. We will start for each and everything. Like I will treat you, you don't know anything about the any topic whatever I have mentioned here. So I will start from that point and I will take you to that point where you will be confident enough to answer or understand some of the core concept of that particular tool. So I will help you out in this particular tools in our session. So our session will be last for almost 40 to 45 hours. Roughly it is 2 months. Okay, so that will be our next 2 months activity agenda. And what I need for all of you, so whoever is going to attend the session, so I need two things from all of you. First thing is you should have one active AWS account. That is the first thing, because I will like teach everything in a practical basis. So basically what I will do, I will ask you to share your screen and I will advise you or guide you what to do. So you will do that. So what will happen, it will be more the interactive session and you are going to have the hands-on feel. So I will ask one by one person to share your screen and do the activities whatever I guided you. So it will be very helpful to all of us to understand in a hands-on basis. And second thing, I need your dedication or practice, so that whatever if I teach you for 1 hour in a day, I expect you to replicate the whatever you are understanding today in your environment, in your cloud environment, and do the practice. If you are having any doubt, you can reach me through anytime. And if still we are not able to resolve whatever issue you are facing, then we next day on the beginning we are going to resolve that issue and we are going to understand the next concept of the particular whatever topic we are having. So these two things I need all of from all of you whoever is going to join our session. So that is all for today from my end. Now if you have any specific question you can ask me, and you can in the chat you can send your contact number as well as the email address, so that the visual path people can connect with you and update you or get the information from you, or whatever communication you have to do you can do. So you can please drop your contact details over the chat. Yeah, now you can ask whatever question you want to ask me.
What is the time for the session? Same time?
Same time, yes.
Okay, the 1 hour.
Yes, yes.
On
uh,
only on
like
weekdays
it,
or
it,
weekend?
no, only weekdays, Monday to Friday. And maybe sometime it can our session can extend to 15-20 minutes more. So depending on the day, whatever we are doing.
Okay.
The
Pritham,
project is
I have a question here. So once we are
Yes.
done with the course, then are we good to go with the AWS Certified DevOps Engineer certification?
No, actually, straightforward answer is no. Why? Because in order to be a DevOps, AWS certified DevOps engineer, you have to understand like almost 30 to 40 services from the AWS point of view. Okay, so that is more often the theoretical part. You have to understand the purpose of more than 30 to 40 services, then only you can sit for the certification, which is a very lengthy process. And which I can say you, like if you attend this session you will have the hands-on experience, you can do the work in a practical environment. But certification part, if you are interested on that, you can connect with me separately. I can guide you what to read, from where to read for a specific kind of certification.
Okay.
Quick
Sir,
question.
can you tell me how many services uh, do you teach in AWS?
So I will teach you around 15 services in AWS cloud.
Okay, sir. How many takes? How many days will take time on AWS, sir?
Like only AWS you're saying, asking?
Yeah, only AWS and Linux.
Uh, okay, it will take some time. I cannot say how many days, depending on like how you are implementing that. But roughly, like if you are taking only these two things and you prepare for yourself, then it will take around 1 month from your side. Like if you don't know anything about AWS, from that point, if you have some knowledge on AWS, then it can complete very soon. But depending on your whatever knowledge you have.
Yes, sir. I understood. I think I have one more doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, first of all, you will start Linux or AWS, sir?
No, I will start Linux, but this Linux machine I'm going to create on AWS.
Okay, sir. After AWS completion, it will start at DevOps.
No, not like that. For example, I'm giving you suppose whatever tools I will teach that time, whatever service we have to work on AWS, we are going to understand that. For example, when we do the orchestration part for Kubernetes, then we are going to see the AWS service called EKS. So that time we are going to understand the EKS in precisely and work on that. So whatever tools or whatever DevOps tool we are going to understand on AWS. So not like that I will complete AWS first, then I will jump to the DevOps. No, like not like that. I will do these things side by side. So whatever DevOps tool I am teaching, I will do in the AWS side.
Okay, sir. I understood, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, the next one.
So under this, you can you it will cover like shell script and sonar queue.
Sales script I will cover. Sonar Cube is not there here.
Okay. So like one more thing, like a project means it's like a live project or
Yeah, so you will be confident enough, or I will teach you, but like you will understand how and why we are doing that. So yes, that live project means like, so see, one thing again we have to make sure that many people, like I definitely know that many of you, all of you, or many of you has gone through many of the videos, something, some lectures or here and there. If somebody says you they are going to help you on a live project, so that is, or actual project, so that is not a correct word to use. Because why I'm saying that, suppose I'm working in a organization. Okay, now there I use the client related product or client related codes. So no one in the world can share their client related code with you. It is not possible. If somebody saying you they are going to give you or they are going to teach you, that is not true actually. What we can do is, or what I will do is, like suppose I am in real time, I am working in a Java based project. So I will create a dummy Java based project, or use some dummy Java based project from the internet, and complete the entire flow from first to last. So what will happen is, when the real time you are working in a real customer, so you just have to replace the customer code with this dummy code or dummy project, or like source code I'm saying. So that is the only thing you have to do, but the entire integration, entire development, entire deployment, everything will be remain same. Entire configuration will be remain same. Only the code will change. So when I say the project, I say that. Okay, Vira, is it okay to you?
Yeah, yes,
Okay. So yeah, you raise your hand, Damaris. So if you have any question, you can ask. Yes, any question from anybody?
Yeah, I have one question. So
Yes,
after the
please.
class, the content, will it be available in a video format if we want to go through again,
Yes,
or
the recording. Yes, the recording you will get after the session, not immediately after the session, but
yeah?
maybe in next 6 7 hours you will get it, and you will practice from that.
Okay, thank you.
That sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Pritam.
Okay. Yeah. Any other question?
What are the topics that you are going to be covering as part of Kubernetes?
Kubernetes. If I go to the specific topics, so I will start to from the cluster creation, then the nodes, how to work in a node, how to create the cluster. Both of the things will be covered. After that, we are going to see the deployment, replica set, daemon set, then how to create the services, different kind of services like load balancer, cluster IP, those kind of things. Then we are going to see the config map, the secrets. After that, we are going to see the PV, PVC as well as storage class. Then we are going to see some of the like real-time example, such as we are trying to pull some image from the image repository, and that is not going to work. How we are going to tackle this? So I can think as of now these kind of things or objects, but definitely more than this we are going to understand.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I'm not able to hear if somebody is asking something.
Sir,
Yeah,
we need
yes.
any learn scripting language, sir, like Python, .NET, shell scripting, like.
No, to start with, it is not required. Whatever is needed, I will teach you.
Okay, sir. I think I mean interview purpose, sir.
For interview purpose, it is not mandatory to know that, but if you have, that is a plus point. But it is not a
Uh,
mandatory thing.
okay, sir. I understood.
Okay. Any other question from anyone? Okay. If not, then thank you for attending today's session. If you have any doubt, then the number is in your chat box. You can connect with the team, and you can approach like whatever you think, you can approach with them. So that is the point. And if you share your already shared your contact details with them, then they are definitely going to connect with you. Okay. So do practice, learn something new, and hope to see you in our regular sessions.
Sir,
Understood.
I have one more doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, already I did completed AWS course. Uh, can we join in this course, sir?
What AWS course you have done and what you have learned?
Already, I learned all type of courses on AWS, sir. Like
So what you learned? Tell me that.
EC2 services, S3,
Okay.
DynamoDB,
Okay. Yes,
like
those are
15
the
to 20.
AWS. So can you
Yes, sir.
do this? Can you do this service integration with the DevOps tool?
No, sir. Just I have learned only AWS services only,
Okay,
not
if you
integrated
want
with
that,
DevOps.
yes, I understand the concern now. Yeah, actually, this session is for DevOps and DevOps with the cloud, AWS cloud. So
Yes, sir.
the stress will be the DevOps technologies, DevOps tools using the cloud benefit. So yeah, you can definitely join and continue in this DevOps session if you are comfortable with.
Sure, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Shiva, you are trying to ask something. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just asking um, when will the next session start?
That
The real
depends,
session.
Shiva. Yeah, real session depends on how many people is going to enroll, or depending on some of the factors also. But I'm hoping by next week we are going to start our session.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So maybe I can send one-on-one. You said depending on how many people sign up. So I'm assuming that if we sign up, we have to pay. So I'm sure we have to pay. So we pay, and then if not enough people sign up, then what happens?
If you pay, I have like we are going to start the batch. It is not happened anytime like we are
No, no,
not starting.
I'm sure. I'm just asking you a question. That's all.
No, no. If you pay and if no one is going to start the thing, then we are going to refund whatever you paid.
Ah, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay. Thank you.
And there we have another approach also, like depending on the individual actually. So we are also do the 1:1 sessions, or like 1:3 or 1:2 sessions. Depending on that, we can change our approach, our teaching, like, but we don't like if somebody trusted us, then we also have our responsibility to give something back to the particular person. So don't worry about that. We are going to figure it out something.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we are done for the day. Do practice and hope to see you, all of you, in our next real time
Thank you.
sessions.